Forgot to record, Frank.
Okay.
All good.
Right.
Sorry,
Yeah.
Phil.
So I live in Old Town, actually a few doors down from Frank, and he had suggested a while back that I look into joining the committee. I'm an avid cyclist, so I'm very interested in bicycling advocacy, and I'm a big fan of improving walkability. I have two teenage sons who both walk to school every day, and I think it's pretty neat that we do have the amount of walkability that we have in this town, but we can always have more. So, I'm basically just a big proponent of not driving a car.
Well, welcome.
Thank you.
Great. Welcome. Yeah.
Now, are there any public comments?
Just double checking if there are members of the public here that want to make a public comment on any of the items or any items not on the agenda. Now's the time to do so. Okay, hearing none. And as of 5 p.m. today, Chair, planning staff did not receive any comments through email or voicemail.
Great. All right, we'll move on to the consent calendar.
Sure, just approval of the meeting minutes from July, our last meeting, which was in July 2022. Hopefully you've reviewed it, and please let staff know if there are any changes or comments on it.
Any of the board have comments on the minutes? Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve the minutes of the last meeting?
I second the motion.
I motion it.
Okay.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Hearing none, meeting minutes are approved.
Okay. And Philip, since you weren't part of BPAC, you're abstaining to vote on that one.
Of course.
Okay. All right, Chair.
All right, the next order of business.
Yes, it's an installation of new Vibraline bike lane buffers. I wanted to just queue up. Hopefully you were able to look at the spec attachment as part of your agenda. So I wanted to queue up Angel Torres from our engineering division to talk through with it. Hey, take it away, sir.
Do you mind bringing up the details?
Sure thing. Give me 1 second, please.
So while Christopher's working on that, I just want to start by introducing myself. My name is Angel Torres. I work with the Department of Public Works Engineering Division. I'm working on several pavement rehab projects throughout the city of South San Francisco at the moment. There's one project in the Westboro area right now that we're trying to wrap up. We've completed all the paving, and we're in the middle of reviewing the alignment for the new striping along Hunebro-Serra. Everything else on that project has already been striped and completed. And so this section of, the entire section of Hunebro-Serra between Avalon and Hickey, that is within the city of South San Francisco right away, is going to receive this particular detail that you see here that introduces what we call Vibraline. The Vibraline itself is we're introducing it on areas where we had previously a bike lane that did not have a buffer. And so we're adding this buffer between the number 2 lane, vehicle lane, and the bike lane. And so this buffer is just to kind of separate vehicles from bicyclists as much as possible. In areas where we don't have the real estate to install the buffer, we'll go back to the standard, which is just the 6-inch white line. But in this particular case, we're going to be adding the Vibraline detail, which is the 4x4 squares. This product is not like a adhesive held pavement marker or anything like that. It is the same material as your standard thermoplastic that is placed throughout at a stop legend or limit line or crosswalk. So it's the same material. It's just a little bit more dense, and it's applied over a 6-inch line. So the squares are 4x4 applied over a 6-inch shoulder line. And the bike lane along Junipero Serra is the only location where we're going to be installing this product on Junipero Serra. We did a test strip, and I was hoping that you might have a chance to take a look at it. We installed this fiber line on one of the sides of West Orange Avenue in front of the park, so that people can get a feel and understanding of what this product is before we go forward with this project to install it along Junipero Serra. Some of the key things, the reasons why we went with this particular item is that we were looking for something that was going to be low maintenance. We've had issues with markers, adhesive markers popping out, and they're paying to try to keep up with maintenance and reapplying them. And they're not cheap either. We have also considered the Caltrans type of, what is it called? Rumble strip detail, which has been applied by other agencies in the buffer zone. For example, Brisbane has applied it along Bayshore and also the street that goes up the hill, up the canyon. And we looked at that, but we were more concerned that if for some reason it was not accepted, it's a very costly procedure to remove that once the pavement has been ground out. If this particular product here, for whatever reason, it starts to fail, or vehicles don't like it, residents don't like it, we can easily grind the thermo and reapply just another 6-inch thermal line in its place. So that's a very inexpensive fix. Should for some reason this product not be welcome once it's been applied. We also considered surface-mounted delineators, but once again, the feedback we got from maintenance and from other people is that they are dangerous in that bicyclists have a hard time maneuvering through them, is my understanding. I'm not an avid bicyclist, but I do ride my bicycle here and there, and just trying to dodge the delineators can be a problem. I know they work great for the vehicles, to try to deter them. So we were trying to find something that did both, allowed the bicyclist to veer out of the bike lane in case there's some obstruction, but also to deter and alert motorists with the minimal of effort that they're veering out of the driver's lane, the vehicle lane, into the buffer zone and potentially into the bike lane. So there's a video that shows the material being applied. I was wondering if you could share that with the group, Chris. If not, I can share.
Why don't you go ahead and share, Angel?
Okay. Give me a second here to get to it. Apologies.
No problem. Angel, if you mind if I chime in with the item while you're bringing that up?
Sure, no problem.
I'd like to share just with the committee. Consider this a interim solution along Junipero Serra as we're looking to do enhancements as part of the pavement project. The city currently is conducting a study to do a preliminary analysis to install enhanced bike lanes that have been identified in the bike path master plan along the JS corridor. That would be a class 4 buffered bike facility. We are going after a grant as we speak. Actually, we're putting in the grant application right now. So this isn't the final solution, but this is
an enhanced solution in addition to just striping that we are looking to consider for this corridor. So I just want to put into context what we're looking at and to get your feedback on that item while we move towards a more permanent or a better solution. That's all.
Angel, this is the installation at West Orange, right? Sorry, you're on mute.
Sorry, yeah. This was just a test strip on West Orange, and what you saw was them applying the 4x4 squares on top of the 6-inch wide line. And that line is the closest line to the vehicle travel lane.
So
Are
we
you-
open discussion?
I'm sorry.
Go
Are
ahead,
you-
Natalie.
Great, thank you. I had a question about, number one, I think that's an improvement based from what we have currently. I would be interested in knowing how quickly, if we get the grant, we'd be able to upgrade to Class 4. The only question I had is, Juniper Cerro is one of our streets that has the higher speed of travel for cars. And so I'm concerned especially at the intersections where a car might be turning right, how we're gonna handle the striping for that area, and to make sure that there's no possibility that car might, veer into the lane at that point, or to make sure that both car and bicyclists are aware that, that lane should be shared by both of them.
Is the question geared towards the Junipero Serra application or another location?
The Juniper Cerro application.
So we are, as part of the project, introducing the green transition zones as part of the bike lane improvements. This is a pretty standard detail now for areas where vehicles and bicyclists are have the potential to interact, meet. So some installations you might have seen around town where it's applied at driveways, commercial driveways. For example, on airport, you'll see that application there where it's the skip green. We're doing similar at these intersections. In particular, I was just out today verifying the layout for the transition, between the bike lanes. There's 2 bike lanes on Junipero Serra. Westboro has a bike lane of its own, and it transitions into northbound Junipero Serra. And then you have the bike lane along Junipero Serra heading northbound. So there's that right turn lane. And so, we're introducing the green, which wasn't there before, to alert the bicyclist as well as the motorist that they're crossing a designated bike lane area. And then right after that transition zone is where we start the buffer zone.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other comments?
Can you speak a little bit more about why you chose this method instead of, say, like plastic bollards or something like that? What were the considerations there?
We looked at different things, and I spoke to 2 different agencies. I spoke to the city of Brisbane in particular about their rumble strip and how that had worked out. And some of the feedback that I received from um, I forgot her name, was that they got a lot of feedback that on a downhill slope, those rumble strips can be very dangerous for bicyclists if you're traveling at high speeds. So that grinding into the pavement, for me, was a deterrent. I don't know exactly what the speeds are going to be for bicyclists. You know, it's not that steep, but there are some areas that are fairly steep. So we wanted something that it would allow for the bicyclist to be able to veer out of the lane, the bike lane, into the vehicle traffic, or vice versa, without them losing control of their bicyclist or their bicycle. The other consideration was the maintenance. As I spoke earlier, we looked at the reflective markers. We looked at surface mounted delineators and channelizers. We even looked at the K71 channelizers, and all those, you know, exceeded the cost and versus, you know, benefit of this particular product. I think one of the strongest points was the maintenance. You know, how are we going to be able to maintain this over time at minimal cost?
Sure. All right, thank you.
Well, I would agree that this is a good maintenance product. Working with in the past with buttons, both ceramic and plastic. The plastic would pop off and the ceramic would crack and fail. So I'm interested to know how good this will happen. I see it's the same color as the white surface, you know, the thermoplastic. So it's not going to stand out, unfortunately. Whereas our buttons would be reflective and would stand out more. And I don't know that that's going to, you know, of course, the cars will feel it on their tires, I'm sure. That's a nice feature, push them back into the traffic, push them back into their traffic lane again. So yeah, I think this would be a good project to test out and see how it works for us. So if there's no more comments.
I think committee member Yip has his hand up.
Yeah, just,
Oh, sorry.
no, it's no problem. I wanted to say that I agree completely with committee member Gore that this is a good improvement. And I especially think it's really good on low speed streets, like on residential streets, especially Grand Avenue and other streets where there might be more traffic, even though it's still a low speed street, where there's like still parking on the curb and then a bike lane and then the traffic, because then it kind of slows cars down if they veer into the bike lane or if they need to park. But on streets, just like committee member Gore said, on streets like Juniper, Sarah, I would hope it's just an interim solution. I'd hope to see something like what the active South City plan has on having a more protected bike lane instead.
Yeah, one thing I would like to say is that you know, this project that is introducing this on Juniper or Sarah is a pavement rehab project, and we were just trying to take the opportunity to use a little bit of that funding to try to enhance what we were going to do. Initially, it was just going to be a bike lane. Then we converted it to a buffered bike lane, and then, you know, we were discussing and reviewing, you know, what could we do, you know, with a little bit of funding, you know, to provide an additional enhancement. So it wasn't a traffic calming project. It wasn't a bike, you know, project. This was a pavement rehab project, and we were just trying to introduce something and see how it goes. So in my mind, it's still a test, and we'll see how the public reacts to it.
Right. If I can add to that, to address your comments, committee member Yip, like what Matt Rubel said earlier, that it's an interim solution, where think of it's like the next step in providing protection here. Again, this is a repaving project, and we're reestablishing these travel lanes and the bike lanes and the buffered bike lanes, with the ultimate goal is that we're trying to find like the best solution, which is what we have in active South City, which is the protected bike lanes. In the meantime, this is helping us find that the cost-effective solution to enhance protection along JS and any other areas where we've identified as like a separated bikeway or protected bikeway corridor. So one step at a time.
All right, thank you, Angel, for your presentation. Chris, we're not going to take action on that, right? It's just for advice.
No, it's just yeah, informational session. Check out the installation at West Orange, across near the park. I forgot.
Correct. Across from the park. Yeah.
Across from the park. Take a look at it, and if we want to share feedback with Angel, let's filter it through me, and then we'll coordinate with Angel.
All righty.
Thank you for your time, everybody.
Well done, Angel. Thank you, sir.
Okay, item number 2.
All right. Item number 2 is this project update on the Utah Avenue US 101 overcrossing project. Let me queue up again Matt Rubel, our principal engineer.
Good afternoon, committee. My name is Matt Rubel, your principal engineer. We're here today to give an update on one of our capital improvement program projects, the Utah Avenue Overcrossing Project, formerly known as the US 101 Overcrossing Project. With me today, I have our project design team with Jeff Zimmerman, Ramsey Heisen, and Maria Sadish, who will be giving a brief overview. Anyone who had the opportunity to attend our public meeting we had a few weeks back last month to go over as part of the environmental process. This will be a shorter version of that, but we definitely wanted to give this committee a update of that project, especially considering it has bike and pedestrian components, and just report out to you on our current status. So I'll turn it over to Jeff Zimmerman. And Jeff, are you able to share your screen?
Yes, again, I'm Jeff Zimmerman, and with AECOM, consultant to the city, and as well, we're doing the environmental document under the oversight of Caltrans. With us here today, as Matt just mentioned, is Ramsey Heisen and Maria Segi as well on this. So let me just give me a moment to share this screen here. A second here. So let me see. Are you seeing the screen here? Is that visible?
Yep, looks good.
Just your screen. It's not in presenter mode. We see
Right. Let me switch to that. Second. Okay. So that should. So I'll check in again. You can still see the screen, and it's in presenter mode there.
Looks good. Thank you.
Okay, great. All right. So anyway, this is, so I'll give a short presentation on this. This is an abbreviated version of our public meeting presentation that we did in early August to the public meeting that was held on the project overall. That was during the comment and review period that was started in late July and extended through just Tuesday of this week. So the comment period ended, and we are going through the comments with Caltrans on this at this point. So that's the status of where we're at on this. So let me go to the next slide here. I'll just go over some of these brief things here. The project need, as it was identified in the EIR and early on by the city, was that basically the existing setting was you have 3 crossings in the city of South San Francisco. As you well know, it's Oyster Point, Grand Avenue, and South Airport Boulevard. The city identified quite a few years back the need to serve additional traffic, future traffic conditions, and improve the traffic at South Airport Boulevard, Produce Avenue, by looking at an overcrossing that we'll talk about in a moment, but also to incorporate bicycle and pedestrian options to get over US 101 as well. And I'll talk about that in just a second here. This is the existing setting, as you might be very well familiar with. This is the undercrossing of US 101 at Airport Boulevard. The Produce Avenue intersection with Airport Boulevard and San Mateo Avenue is here. And then the South Airport Boulevard also crosses over the Colma Canal there, and also provides the access to the north and southbound, or northbound and southbound, I guess, interchange there, off ramps that are located there. This is the undercrossing at under US 101 for South Airport Boulevard. It's got 2 lanes in each direction. This is a class 3 bike route, but it's not and it's not striped there, obviously. So it's not a real, I term it not a very inviting facility for bikes and pedestrians, although pedestrians can obviously use the sidewalk facility that's there on each side, and bicycles can use this route, of course. It's just not what you'd want it to be. So the project purpose is to provide an additional local east-west connection across US 101. That's in addition to the 3 existing crossings in South San Francisco that would benefit both all vehicles, pedestrians, and bicyclists. And it would accommodate planned growth in the city of South San Francisco and in the project area. The alternatives that were considered, I don't have as much detail here as we had in the public meeting, but basically there was a background of looking at a number of alternatives that were various interchange configurations. The project settled into a build alternative that was basically a new US 101 overcrossing at Utah Avenue, South Airport Boulevard, that would connect to San Mateo Avenue. I'll show you an image of that in a moment. Local intersection improvements are included in this, and the intersection improvements include pedestrian and bike facilities on that. They're all class 2 facilities for bikes on that. And then there's an additional lane that's proposed in the northbound direction on San Mateo Avenue on that would utilize the parking space. It wouldn't widen San Mateo Avenue, but it would utilize the existing on-street parking, convert that over to a bike lane in each direction on that. The no-build alternative is also considered in the EIR EA, which basically involves no modifications to Utah Avenue or any of the intersections on it. Here's a layout view of the project on that. The red is the overcrossing structure, where it's crossing over US 101 and elevated above the existing land uses in the highway. By the way, to the left is south to San Jose. To the right side on 101 is heading north to San Francisco, just to orient on this. I'll show you some detail on this, but it basically shows the connection of the overcrossing Utah Avenue connecting to San Mateo Avenue. And then you have the intersection here at Airport Boulevard, Produce Avenue, and San Mateo Avenue. And then also the intersection where the overcrossing connects to South Airport Boulevard and Utah Avenue and creates a new 4th leg on that intersection there. This is a oblique view or a bird's eye view of the a simulation of the overcrossing. This is looking toward the west. And so you have Airport Boulevard, South Airport Boulevard, Utah Avenue. It would create this connection with South Airport Boulevard and crossing over to San Mateo Avenue. And that's you can see the elevated structure crosses over the existing park and fly lots that are there, as well as the entrance to the produce market in this area. Yeah. And then this is a zoom in of the intersection at Produce Avenue, Airport Boulevard, San Mateo Avenue. This would create the main change here, I guess I'd like to point out, is on a southbound direction of US 101. The off ramp here comes in at a kind of a hook ramp and circles around and connects in with a stop sign that occurs here where it connects with South Airport Boulevard. That's going to be modified to this 2-lane queuing area that comes into the intersection more proper here on that. We believe that provides a better connection for both vehicles, but it also provides a much safer and visible crossing area for pedestrians and bikes in here. And then you have the crosswalk facilities that are all segments of this, and the pedestrian facilities here, as well as the yellow that shows the bike lane facilities that would be installed in here. And this shows, going to the top of the picture, this shows San Mateo Avenue, and it's got the yellow bike lanes that are installed on each direction on that would be fitted in with the existing pavement on that. This is a shot close up of the Utah Avenue connection with San Mateo Avenue. It comes in at a T intersection here. And again, the yellow is what I mentioned just before, is in both directions. You have the class two bike lanes that would be incorporated into the existing pavement. The loss here would be takeaway of the parking, that's the on-street parking that's there. That's the trade-off that occurs with the project on that. But there's also parking that's available at the businesses in this area all have off-street parking in that, so they'd still be available. Their existing parking would not be affected, only the public parking on San Mateo Avenue. And then this is a close-up of the intersection at South Airport Boulevard. This shows Highway 101 just on the top of the page there, and Utah Avenue coming in here to San Mateo, Airport Boulevard. And then the new leg of the project would bring Utah Avenue extending to the upper part of the page into the red overcrossing and then over to San Mateo Avenue. There are some impacts from this project from right of way that are taken here at IHOP and the Travel Lodge and other locations, but I won't dwell on that given that this is more of a bike and pedestrian meeting here. This is a simulation of the overcrossing facility where you're on Utah Avenue. This going to the faraway distant picture where the two cars are, that's the new bridge overcrossing of US 101. We're looking toward the west, and the bike facility, the class 2 facility is shown here with the bike rider in that, the sidewalks there. You have the same type of facility on each leg of the intersection here on that, in terms of what it looks like. The schedule here is we have gone through in 2015, there was a initial project planning. As I mentioned before, there were a number of alternatives that were screened out. Were just deemed not necessary or didn't provide the kinds of benefits that were expected. And so we settled in with a project that I just went over. We've gone through from 2017 to 2022, the environmental studies and engineering studies that were necessary, an environmental review that was documented in coordination, with Caltrans as the lead approving these things. And then we have 2023, the project, if it goes forward, if it is approved, this would go into the blue box here, which is project design and right-of-way acquisition. And then if that goes ahead, then you'd go to 2024, 26 would be construction of the project. And this is all contingent on funding of the project at this point. So that's all I had for the presentation on that. Let me just figure out how to release this here. Actually, stop share. Got it. Okay, sorry, I returned control here. So.
Sorry, could you put up one of the schematics again that shows how the new bridge would be constructed? I'm trying in my mind to get a picture of where we'll begin and end.
Of the
new part that's going to go over 101.
Okay, let me bring that up again here.
And if I may, I'd like to clarify one point. The project currently for the drawings is showing a class 2 bike lane because that's consistent with the existing facilities out there. However, as part of the design process, we'll be looking at incorporating class 4 bike lanes as identified in the bike head master plan where feasible. And there's some challenges of tying into the existing infrastructure, but that definitely is the goal of the project. So even though just for illustrative purposes, we're showing class 2. Know that our goal would be a class 4 facility.
Thank you. That was concerning to me. Class 4 is much better.
Sorry, are you seeing the slideshow right now?
We're seeing slide 14 right now. And I think if you were to go up.
Okay, got it back. Sorry, my technology skills aren't as what I'd like them to be here. So let me see, there's this slide. Were you referring to this slide here?
Number 7, I think.
Number 7. Let me go back.
Previous one.
This is the aerial view. Yeah. Okay. So do you want to repeat your question on that?
this new part is south of the train overpass, is that correct?
Well, yeah, the new, yeah, let me go back to this picture here. Well, sorry, that one doesn't really show the same view. Sorry, I'll go back and walk you through that. So this from here is South Airport Boulevard is exists along here. There'd be some widening, but that already exists. So the new part starts from South Airport Boulevard, goes up and over, that red part is elevated and connects with San Mateo Avenue. So the new overcrossing would be along this portion. The part that is in red is a bridge, and the part that's in gray, beginning at South Airport Boulevard and then extending over to San Mateo, is on retaining wall fill on that.
Okay. And so I see that it's near the Travel Lodge. I'm still having a hard time picturing where this is. So it's near the Travel Lodge. So that means it's going over and onto. It's going over produce and it's going over the entrance to the southern entrance, the entrance to the highway going south as well.
Yes, yeah. So it's elevated over US 101 in this
And
area.
that entrance, which I
Yeah,
think is produce.
correct. Well, at the Travel Lodge facility that you were just mentioning, it impacts part of the right of way, the property at the Travel Lodge, as well as the adjacent IHOP restaurant.
Okay, so it goes over there.
Uh-huh.
And then on the other side, oh no, that's south of the entrance to the highway. Okay, all right, I think I have an idea where it is.
Okay.
So I'm trying to see if how that, for bicycle purposes, how that's going to be useful as a connection, maybe from downtown. Is that going to be newly constructed road here, or is that road already exists?
The only new road portion is the Utah Avenue extension, I guess you could call it, or it's been called.
Okay.
That's the portion that goes over the highway and connects between San Mateo Avenue and South Airport Boulevard.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
I think, I don't know if this slide shows it any better. This is a different kind of view, but this portion where it takes off from South Airport Boulevard, that's the new elevated portion of the road proposed project. And then up here where it says San Mateo Avenue, that's where it connects to the existing San Mateo Avenue. So this would be all, the portion over the highway plus its connections are all new. The rest of the facilities that you see here are already existing. There would be some elevation changes with South Airport Boulevard, for example. It's raised, and I might need some help here from the engineering team, but it's raised about a foot or so just to get to match in and provide the kind of conforming structure that you need on a vertical profile. And not, anyway, I hope that helps. So there is some changes to the elevation here, but it's not very significant.
Okay, so there is not likely to be much pedestrian traffic going over the highway, right? It's mostly bicycle and car traffic planned? Or will there be sidewalks?
Oh, yes, there will be sidewalks all the way across all the facilities that were shown would have sidewalks on each side. So the overcrossing and the connections there would have continuous sidewalks on each side. And there would be, as I mentioned, class 2 bike facilities provided.
Okay. All right.
No.
Thank you.
Will those sidewalks, I can't see in this rendering, will those sidewalks have guardrails?
There'd be guardrails over on the outside, yes.
Yeah. No, so I mean between the sidewalk and bike or car traffic.
I don't think that's proposed. Maria or Ramsey, do you want to chime in on that? That's not
currently,
proposed.
there will be a barrier on the outside of the sidewalk, and between the sidewalk and the class 3 bicycle lane, typically it's just a sidewalk with a curb and gutter. And but that's something like but Matt discussed. This is conceptual, and we'll be looking at, a class 4 bike facility and looking at the details in the next phase, if the project is approved, to move to the next phase.
Yeah, I'd be curious how the cyclists, the frequent cyclists here feel about that. I feel like often, and maybe this is just an intuitive thing, these bridges usually feel pretty hostile to travel across, I think, as a cyclist. I feel like probably one of the more convenient or nice ones is when you go over like Golden Gate, although that one's usually a mixed bicycle and pedestrian, but it's actually guarded enough from vehicle traffic that you feel pretty secure. So I don't know, to the extent that we actually think it's something that like we would want cyclists to actually use versus just be like a nice convenience for cars. I'd be curious whether the cyclists here feel like that seems sufficient.
I mean, yeah, I think that class 4 is pretty important over the bridge. I agree with you that unprotected bike lanes on a bridge like that can definitely be challenging. Can we go back to the other image we were looking at?
Yeah.
The top down.
The aerial here.
Yes, thank you. So it seems to me the general idea here, I think, when also kind of answering Natalie's question, if you're biking south on Airport Boulevard from downtown, whereas now you would turn left on South Airport Boulevard and go under the existing underpass, you could now turn right, travel down San Mateo, and then use this bridge to cross instead.
That's correct.
The general idea. Yeah.
Yes.
And will there be any improvements to the existing South Airport Boulevard undercrossing, or is that out of scope for this?
That's not proposed. The intersection there is obviously where you see the light blue gray kind of color. That's the proposed part of the project. There wasn't anything proposed under the undercrossing, and I think it's basically because of the limited room available on that.
Okay.
Right, and then just to clarify
Jeff,
for BPAC's, there's a reminder to BPAC. We had the PS Office Park projects, the 124 airport, creating 480 housing units, plus the 40 airport project that's going to create another 290 housing units. And those projects are tasked with improving pedestrian access and circulation. And then from there, so these concepts that you're seeing that was included as part of this project took into account that, all of these things happening, which are actually already happened. So, and these projects coming in and redesigning that intersection. So it's pieces, like there's the project that's going to do the overcrossing. There's these 2 housing projects that's going to redo the intersection, and then it'll be up to the city for us to then study and figure out what to do about installing bike lanes underneath the tunnel on South Airport and connected to the existing bike facilities we have on Airport around Grand.
Sorry,
I mean,
Daryl, you had your hand up?
Yeah,
I want to make sure that.
yeah. I've been following this project pretty closely, so I have pretty extensive comments. Are there any like smaller questions that anyone had? I know someone just said something.
Natalie, were you trying to say something?
No, I'll defer to you, Daryl. I'm
Okay,
sure
okay. Yeah,
you'll probably answer my
I've
question as well.
I went to the, first of all, I want to thank you for presenting to this. I went to the environmental review public meeting and asked for this to be taken to BPAC. So I appreciate you taking it to BPAC. It's just unfortunate that the deadline for the environmental review comment period has already happened, because I think if this BPAC had known that the environmental review made a lot of very faulty assumptions in its analysis, then we would have been able to take a stronger stance on it. And while I was pouring through my environmental review comments, I was looking through the entire environmental impact report, state laws, and other things. And I kind of came to the conclusion that I don't think the city has its priorities straight with this project. It's spending hundreds of millions of dollars to provide convenience to automobiles in a place where there's not really a lot of pedestrian or bicycle activity, and it's just putting money in the wrong place. So I actually wrote an email to BPAC, and then I realized that it probably violates Brown Act, so I'm going to read it here since this is a public meeting. I'm sharing my public comment letter on the DEIR for the US Highway 101 Produce Avenue Interchange Project, which would expand Utah Avenue and an interchange at Produce Avenue. In contrast to state law and CEQA guidelines, the DER falsely claims no impact on increasing vehicle miles traveled, leading to faulty conclusions on environmental justice, air quality, climate change, and consistency with local and regional plans. The EAR has 19 pages justifying level of service as the reason why they want to do this project. However, SB 743 prohibits level of service from being an environmental impact. And what it does allow, vehicle miles traveled, the EAR only spends a few pages of looking at that, which it assumed only 6,600 average daily traffic, which I think is really disingenuous. The EAR considers this a small collector street, when I think that this will actually induce a lot more traffic, especially considering that there's a parallel project that the county of San Mateo is looking at on the US 101 north of 380 managed lanes project, which could potentially widen the US 101 and induce more traffic in this area. So the fact that the city is only assuming 6,600 vehicle daily traffic on this project is extremely disingenuous, and there's going to be a lot higher demand for that. And lastly, I think we shouldn't worry about bike lanes on this project, because while the city is claiming to support the active South City plan, because there is a bike lane currently made out of paint in the EIR, by adding vehicle capacity, it's not actually going to be improving bicycle conditions. It's going to worsen it, because there's going to be more traffic. And the reason why bicycle conditions are so bad in this city is because we have so much traffic. That goes against the active South City plan and the draft general plan, which has very explicit goals to reduce the need to drive. I'm also sure you guys are all well aware that this project is located in an equity priority community. For those who don't know what it is, it's the region's way of identifying high disadvantaged communities and high priority communities where there's high populations of people of color and other marginalized populations. This is in an equity priority community, and if you look at state laws, it's also the single most polluted census tract in the entire San Francisco Bay Area, according to Cal EnviroScreen. It's close to the airport, it's close to US 101, it's close to the industrial area, the textbook definition of environmental injustice. So we cannot be widening roads and polluting more neighborhoods. I know the city has been working on this for a very long time, but I do not believe any of the impacts of this induced traffic can be mitigated in the build alternative. And I urge my fellow BPAC members to take a stand against this project, because it will induce vehicle travel, undermining the city's, regions, and state's climate and equity goals. Should the city move forward with the project, it's imperative that the city redo its environmental impact report to do a holistic, thorough reevaluation of the project that accounts for its impact within the broader context of our region's transportation system, environment, and vulnerable communities. Thank you.
That was really thorough and informative. Thanks for that.
Yes, good research there.
And I submitted my public comment for the EIR yesterday, so hopefully you have a record of that.
Okay, thanks, Daryl, for that. I did want to double check again with Jeff and team on timelines and next steps for this review.
Sure, I'll jump in on that. The timeline that we have is there is a federal funding that's available for the project. That's the city's very interested, obviously, in helping, if that's available to help with the project if it moves forward. And that expires in the coming months. And so the objective is to, go through the environmental document, and we're at the response to comment stage on it right now. Caltrans is the lead agency, by the way, for both CEQA and NEPA. So all the work is directed by Caltrans and reviewed and oversight by Caltrans on that. So we are the consultant for the city, but everything, goes through both the city and Caltrans on that. So we now would take all the comments that were received on the document. We'd respond to comments. And then I think the schedule on this is to look at, if the project is approved, it would go through a Caltrans decision process. They'd look for input from the city on this, and then that would be done in the October.
Yeah, Uber's here.
November.
For Erica.
Hello.
Erica Smiles.
Hello?
Yeah.
There was someone on Nick's phone that taking another call. Sorry,
Yeah.
Jeff.
That's okay. Yeah, so the schedule would be that toward the end of the year, this project is looking at approval requirements in the October-November timeframe. And then it would go into the next stage after that, assuming if it is approved, it would go into right-of-way and final design with Caltrans. And that doesn't mean that things can't change at that point. Like, for example, the point being the class 4 type bike lanes or other types of design can be incorporated at that point, as Ramsey mentioned. So this is the concept that was brought forward for purposes of environmental review. And then only after approval would it go forward into design, and that design would have a lot of input from the city and input into design features of it.
I have another comment. I think I understand the reasoning behind this, given the fact that we're actually going to add more housing in that area. And it's obviously to give the new tenants or the new tenants and others who travel across 101 some relief and give them another option, given the fact that possibly all kinds of traffic will increase. But I do have a concern in that it looks like that new project feeds back into San Mateo Avenue and South Airport, which is the most congested area, that's the area that also goes to the highway. So I'm not sure that in that particular area, that's solving a problem. It might be adding to the problem. And again, my concern in that particular area, especially if we're thinking about pedestrians and bicyclists, is it's already congested. Adding another access point that leads back to that area might not alleviate the congestion and might actually add to the congestion and making it more dangerous for the bicyclists and pedestrians who would be at airport and San Mateo.
Could it be changed to be pedestrian and bicycle only?
Well, that wasn't an alternative study. It was always looking at the purpose and need to provide a new additional access across US 101 for all modes of travel on that. So it wasn't limited. There wasn't an alternative limited to just pedestrian and bikes, if that's the question. So it was intended to solve the issue that was brought up, early on in the city planning, which I mentioned, early on, it was 5 years ago. That was mainly to provide an additional connection across US 101, since the city's limited in terms of connectivity between the two sides of US 101, and to provide that. So it was always proposed as all modes, I guess, on that. But
Yeah, it seems like I'm hearing though our values have changed since 2017.
yeah.
Jeff, I would like to ask, what's the grade on the bridge from going from South Airport up to the freeway the peak of the freeway where we're going across. It seems very short distance, and I believe you mentioned you were going to elevate the intersection 1 foot.
Yeah, and maybe Ramsey or Maria, you can chime in on that, but there was, yeah, that elevated portion slightly raised at the Airport Boulevard intersection at Utah was to provide that adequate grade. I think, Ramsey, do you have?
Yeah, it's more into the 4 to 5 feet elevation increase. And that's to raise the intersection as you approach the bridge and to provide the grades to meet ADA requirements. Yeah, it would be raised about 4 to 5 feet in that area.
Okay. Just FYI, that's going to impact the high voltage lines that go across that intersection right now.
That's a very good observation. We did a catenary survey of the lines and coordinated with PG&E. And the project will require, and PG&E is concurred to this, that the lines would be raised on the same towers. So there's a capacity, or there's room to raise them to meet the minimum requirements for the separation between the high transmission lines and the roadway surface.
There's also when you raise that, there's the conforming driveways that are there for the businesses. And so obviously there's truck access that's needed into some of those businesses there. And there's some minimum grades that they have to be able to maneuver. And that was taken into account in the design as well. So that when those access points to the individual properties are done, that they can adequately maneuver their vehicles in and out.
Okay. Any more comments from the committee? Hearing none, I think, thank you very much for your presentation.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep, agree. Thank you, team. We'll update BPAC as information is available.
Gotcha. Yeah. Any comments from the board about general activities?
I'm sorry, what did you say?
Oh, any comments from the board for the public good?
Last meeting, Christopher and I were supposed to fill out the TAC form for the street sweeping.
Mm-hmm.
And I filled that out and sent it in, and I need committee member Bowen's help because they sent back that they wouldn't change the street sweeping plan for my neighborhood, but it was his neighborhood that was really having the problems. And I'm hoping he could take some pictures and we could send it in again. Because he found that.
Sure, I could try to help with something like that.
Okay, it's not, they said, when I asked them, to change it, we'd sweep one side one day and the other side the other day so that cars could move.
Mm-hmm.
They said it was just voluntary movement. And I think in your neighborhood, it's bad. And you have bicyclists saying that the garbage in the street makes it unsafe to ride their bicycles. So I think some pictures, I think we should try again with some pictures.
That wasn't necessarily about my neighborhood as much as it was about Linden Ave. Like, I think Linden in particular is really, can have a lot of garbage along the sides of the streets. My neighborhood naturally has some issues with that, as most cars don't move for any sort of street sweeping, but Linden in particular is definitely a lot of glass and random garbage and stuff on the roads.
Okay, do you think you can snap some pictures and we'll try again?
Yeah, I can make some time to do that this weekend.
Okay, thanks so much. I'm sorry I failed you the first go round. Well, Christopher,
no
you mind
worries
helping?
at all.
Sure, yeah, no, let's collaborate and then let's get this request to TAC once more.
Okay, thank you both.
You got it.
Okay, any other comments?
Chair, if I may, one more announcement, if I may. Our principal planner, Matt Rubel, hates it when I do this, but it's what we call Chris starts some stuff. We were approached by Caltrans District 4 to collaborate with them on an application to the to Smart Growth America for a Complete Streets Academy. So if we help them submit an application, they could be a state DOT or State Department of Transportation that gets selected to, to implement some complete streets concepts on state highways like El Camino Real or Junipero Serra, things of like those types of roadways. About a week ago, I received notice from Caltrans that they were selected. So starting sometime this fall, San Francisco, City of Berkeley, and City of San Leandro will be one of those three kind of demonstration cities for state highway complete streets concepts. So it's just the beginning stages. There's meetings coming up later this month, which I'll be attending, and I'll report back to BPAC on the proceedings of this. But look at smartgrowthamerica.org or .com, I believe. I forgot. Sorry, I didn't write the information down, but I can send that out to you. But yeah, no, it's really good news, and we'll be doing that sometime in the fall. So.
Will we have input on which street they would choose?
That's what I'm going to try to get clarification on. So right now, because it's led by Caltrans, it would have to be on a state highway, which is like El Camino Real or Junipero Serra.
But they don't own Junipero Serra. That's ours.
That's ours, right? Yeah.
El
So
Camino or Skyline, a portion of
Skyline. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, I think that's what I was thinking of. So we'll see if we can include this in some other streets, and then that's where we'll get more information or input from BPAC.
All righty, looking forward to it.
And
There
was
a
a question in the chat. Is this meeting being recorded or available online? Or do I need to email someone for the recording? Chris, is that you?
Yeah, that's
the
me.
recording?
I'll respond to that person, hopefully, but I don't believe they're on anymore. And yes, it's recorded. Whether it's something we're allowed to distribute to the public is another question. So we'll see if they left their contact information, and then we'll reach out to them.
Yeah. Fair enough. Thank you, Daryl, for spotting that. All right, do we have a motion to adjourn? Nobody wants to leave?
I motion we adjourn.
Okay.
All right, thank you, Ariane. Second?
I second.
Okay, thank you. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Hearing none, meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much for everybody.
All right. Thanks, everyone. We'll see you at the next one.
Thanks. Yes.
Thank you.
Bye.